I'm sorry, darling. Mr. Wonka's being unreasonable.
Uh-oh, here we go again. So many rich celebrities, so many poor future celebrity kids.
You want something, go get it. Period.
Being a celeb comes with fame and a lot of money. What it doesn't come with is a guarantee that there will be any money left over, or a guarantee that the celeb making the money is gonna want to share it.
You want my property? You can't have it.
Even with their own offspring. So, following up on our first video about celebrities, money, and their kids, here's a list of 10 more rich celebrities who won't be leaving their fortune to their children.
Mom, can you give me some money, please?
Andrew Lloyd Webber.
You try saying Lord Lloyd Webber.
Andrew Lloyd Webber is basically a musical genius.
My boy's wicked smart.
He's responsible for bringing so many musicals to the public, it's mind-boggling. Because of this, he's made a lot of money. A lot of money.
Hello, Benjamin.
Webber is worth 750 million pounds. Yes, pounds, not dollars. The composer hadn't always wanted to leave his children penniless. He said his mind began to change when he turned 60. Altogether, he has 5 kids and realized that he didn't want his kids to grow up like so many other celebrity kids.
I want one. I want a golden goose.
I am not in favor of children suddenly finding a lot of money coming their way because then they have no incentive to work, he said. So, I will give them a start in life, but they ain't going to end up owning the really useful group. He isn't wrong.
All right.
A lot of kids who grow up with money are slightly less in touch with reality. Well, at least that is if they're given everything that they want. So, what do Webber's kids think about this? He told the Daily Mail, they're not bothered. They don't think that way. It's about having a work ethic. I don't believe in inherited money at all. He started putting his money back into the community instead. Meanwhile, he wants to help struggling singers and musicians too. And his company, Really Useful Group, has been doing just that since 1977.
Elvis recorded it, and it was the last thing he did, therefore I killed him.
Liking this video so far? If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and notification bell. Let's get back to the list.
Oh, it's good to be back.
Philip Seymour Hoffman.
All to myself.
Actor Philip Seymour Hoffman passed away in 2014.
Death of actor Philip Seymour Hoffman.
However, before his untimely death, he was very candid about almost every aspect of his life. One thing that he was very candid about was the fact that he had planned to leave no money to his children. He once told them, there won't be much money left because we are spending it.
1,000, 2,000, 100, 2,000.
That's just the kind of father he was. Funny but determined to make sure his kids knew the value of hard work. Although he said this in a joking way, in 2014 when he passed, his will proved that he was not kidding.
I'm kidding.
The actor left everything to his partner and mother of his kids, Mimi O'Donnell. Almost as if speaking from beyond the grave, his will stated simply she would take care of the children. Like everyone else in this video, Hoffman wanted to ensure that his children didn't grow up to be brats, or as he called it, trust fund kids. He went on to tell the Daily Mail, I certainly don't want to leave them trust funds that are albatrosses around their necks. They have to work. All my kids know that, and they rarely ask me for anything, which I really respect and appreciate.
Well, I respect your ambition, Willie, but you got to have vision.
Kevin O'Leary.
No one has ever had control over me, ever.
Shark Tank star Kevin O'Leary has made his money by investing in businesses. Also, having his own business.
It was just wonderful.
Even well before he was on Shark Tank. During an interview with Chatelaine magazine, the investor got real about what it takes to be a success, and why he will never leave his hard-earned dollars to his children. He
never will.
Boldly said, I am not planning on giving my kids any of my wealth.
Where's the money, Lebowski?
They know that when their education is over, I'm pushing them out of the nest.
Get out of my house!
Wow. Very truthful, very blunt. The businessman went on to say, I always tell wealthy parents that if they don't kick their kids out of the house and put them under the stresses of the real world, they're just gonna fail to launch. They will become unsuccessful adults.
I'm tired.
He did, however, say that he will be looking out for his grandchildren by setting up a generation-skipping trust. Who even knew that was a thing? Fear motivated me, and it will motivate them, O'Leary said. There's nothing wrong with that. It's how everyone does it, and it's extremely healthy. Well, he has been right about other super important things, so how can he be wrong about this one, right?
Have you ever heard the expression, the customer is always right?
The article really goes deep into some great ideas about how to introduce your kids to money, expressing how important money is. Oh, and of course, more details on that generation-skipping trust.
Really believe I am the merchant of truth.
Richard Old Man Harrison.
You're gonna put me in my f***ing grave, Rick.
The insanely popular show Pawn Stars recently lost its patriarch, Richard Harrison, lovingly known as Old Man.
I love the old man saying.
However, we aren't quite sure how loved he is after the stunt he pulled before he passed. The entrepreneur who died after a lengthy battle with Parkinson's disease made some changes to his will just before he died. The biggest change was that he left his son Christopher out.
You're out of the band.
His last words to his son through his executor read, "I would like to express my love and affection for Christopher Keith Harrison. However, for purposes of this will, I have intentionally and with full knowledge failed to provide for him and his issue." There hasn't been a follow-up statement as to why he decided to single out Christopher, and we'll probably never find out the truth.
And the truth shall set you free!
We know the family isn't crazy rich. There's certainly an assumption that they made a decent amount of money from the show, though. It ran for several successful seasons. So we definitely know there was certainly something to divvy up, though. Initially, all his children and his wife were included in his will, but sometime in 2017, he went out of his way to update it and cut out Christopher not only money-wise, but also from benefiting from his estate. We think the story behind why he got cut out is probably one piece of juicy gossip.
Just tell me the truth!
But like we said, we're just never gonna know.
No winner. Yeah, story of my life.
James Brown.
I feel good.
Before he died, James Brown tried to do something good for the community that was there for him from the beginning, the state of South Carolina that he had a special connection with. Brown planned on leaving his $100 million trust to needy children of South Carolina. He passed away in 2006, and by 2009, the money was still not allocated. So why? Brown's children felt like they deserved a piece of this fortune.
You deserve better than this.
He stated specifically in his will and to his kids that he wasn't going to leave any money to them. We guess they assumed he was joking.
Can we get serious now?
Because they were genuinely shocked when they actually received nothing. A bitter battle ensued literally a month after his death. But we have to wonder why Brown wouldn't want to leave any money for his 7 children and his 4th wife. According to Rolling Stone magazine, Brown was not close to any of his 7 kids.
You're not my son.
Apparently, they had to schedule appointments just to see him. Who he was close to were the children at the hospitals that he would visit regularly. He played a benefit to raise money for sick kids in the 80s. When he actually met the children and saw how they were struggling, he was touched.
We couldn't be happier.
He told his producer, Jacques Hollander, "I'm going to give them everything I have and touch their lives." You can't be mad at that.
I think that everybody should be counted sometime.
Joan Crawford.
I want to see something.
Joan Crawford has long since passed away, but she will never truly die.
Why can't you just die?
The actress will always be famous for her body of work and infamous for her very public feuds. 2 of those feuds were turned into productions themselves. The TV show titled Feud about her battle with Bette Davis, and her original feud titled Mommy Dearest with her daughter Christina. Anyways, in 1978, when Christina had released the insanely shocking memoir, she was already on horrible terms with her mom, who had passed away just a few months earlier. People just assumed that she and her siblings would inherit their mother's fortune and gain their own fame from her insanely bright shining star. Wrong. In fact, Crawford even got in one last dig from beyond the grave by disinheriting the kids that she no longer liked. So this means that not only Christina, but her brother Christopher got absolutely nothing. Everything was left to her twin daughters Kathy and Cindy and a charity. Everyone in Hollywood was buzzing about the book, but couldn't figure out why Crawford would do her oldest daughter and son so dirty. Word on the street was that she had gotten wind that the book was being written and decided to give her daughter one last screw you.
Screw you!
She even managed to have it written in the will that her 2 oldest kids would get nothing because, for reasons they knew. Ah, cryptic AF. In the end, Christina and Chris contested the will and received an inheritance. Boy, Joan must have been spinning in her grave.
You and your rabbit-faced wife can both go to hell.
Ted Turner.
I'm still Ted Turner.
Over the years, Ted Turner has given away a lot of money. He's one of the original people who would make bank from a project and immediately turn around and give it away to a charity. Eventually, he just decided that he would use this method after his death as well. And so he put in his will that his children will receive none of his cash. Turner accumulated his wealth by founding news companies like CNN and broadcasters like TBS. So you know he has a lot of cash. He has 5 kids from 3 different marriages, and he said that they should not expect anything. However, it's a mistake for us to assume that he isn't leaving money to his kids because he wants to do some good for the less fortunate. Apparently, he was quoted as saying he was almost to the edge of poverty. What in the world? How did that even happen?
I have nothing!
Of course, it could be because of all that money that he's already given away, or he could just be being dramatic. He went on to say that he basically just wants to have enough money left over so he can cover funeral expenses. Sounds like a solid plan if we're being honest.
You're a solid guy, though.
Barron Hilton. In 2007, at the height of Paris Hilton's career, if you want to call it that, her grandfather Barron Hilton made the decision to pledge his $2.3 billion fortune to charity. The money from the sales of Hilton Hotel Corp. And Harrah's Entertainment Corp. Will go into a trust. When the time comes, it'll benefit the Conrad N. Hilton Foundation. Apparently, by that time, the money would have matured to $4.5 billion. Can you imagine being an heir and missing out on that?
I didn't see that one coming.
According to Jerry Oppenheimer, who considers himself an expert on all things Hilton,
I am an expert.
Barron is simply disgusted. He profiled the Hilton family in a book titled House of Hilton. Oppenheimer stated that Barron made it clear he was embarrassed by his granddaughter Paris's behavior, believing that it had sullied the Hilton name. The foundation supports clean water for countries like Africa. In addition, they also support education for blind kids and housing for the mentally ill. Hilton stated that he wants to relieve the suffering, the distressed, and the destitute. Paris and her siblings have never commented on the accusations of him being disappointed. Truthfully, they probably don't care. They've all begun making their own money one way or another, and they won't be totally left without anything. In addition, they've all received a trust of some sort.
Did you get that memo?
Tess Daly.
I can't wait.
Tess Daly is the host of Strictly Come Dancing. This means her face has been splashed all over the TV for several years now, and she's managed to parlay this gig into making her a household name. Daly is now worth a good chunk of change.
Well, I'm worth something, ain't I?
She isn't Bloomberg rich, but she is pretty well off. She and her husband Vernon Kay have 2 kids together. They've decided that they just don't believe it would be in the best interest of their girls if they just left them all of their money. She told the Mirror, leaving a large inheritance or handing over money to daughters Phoebe, 10, and Amber, 6 would turn them into spoiled brats. She even went as far as to explain her financial situation, saying, "I'm not in a financial position to provide for my children's future, but even if I could, I wouldn't want to." She went on to say, "You can't make life too easy, because you remove their will to succeed." Daly makes over £250,000 a year for her hosting gig. Her husband makes over £2 million a year as a broadcaster. So really, they do have more than most people, but she's right, it may not be enough to provide for generation after generation. Daly told You magazine once, "I'd hate to have a spoilt brat. I'd think I hadn't done my job properly. I want them to be appreciative."
Thank you, Daddy.
50 Cent.
You know, some people have that thing where they actually want that parent.
Rapper 50 Cent has had a lousy relationship with his oldest son, Marquise Jackson.
You're a lousy drunk.
Every time fans think it's over, it starts right back up again. For his part, the rapper has not explicitly stated why his relationship with his son has gone downhill.
It's about to go down.
However, his son has been more than candid about why he hates his dad.
I hate you, man!
There have been accusations from bullying to neglect. Marquise is now 20 years old and on his own path to be a hip-hop artist. He released a song titled Different,
all in their feelings, watch some series, keep my...
where he takes a few shots at 50. Now, we have to assume that this beef is going to continue to go on. According to Marquise, he started seeing less and less of his father when he was about 10 or 11.
I just don't like you anymore.
When he did see him, it was toxic and always ended negatively. On his end, 50 has been quite harsh with his son by taking his own shots on social media, even insulting Marquise's mother. We can only assume that Marquise is not in 50's will. Or, if he is, it may only be to take one last shot from the grave a la Joan Crawford style. 50 has already commented on how he's counting down the days until he doesn't have to pay child support. That should be a pretty clear indication of where this is going.
See y'all later.
We're not expecting your whole estate or anything.
Just remember, money buys nothing.
But how about leaving a little something behind for us by hitting that subscribe button and notification bell? And don't go anywhere, stick around to check out more great videos.